In this edition of Back in History, we bring to you the story of the assassination of President Laurent Kabila. The story behind the assassination, the instant elimination of the assassin, the arrest and prosecution of persons suspected of complicity in the assassination, their conviction, their incarceration for more than 15 years without release and without execution, and their eventual release by the new president of the country. Welcome to this edition of Back in History. Laurent Kabila became president of the Congo in May 1997. On 16th January 2001, Kabila was killed by his own bodyguard. The country was shocked and thrown into mourning. But there is a background to this story. Kabila was a rebel leader for the better part of his life. He took to rebellion after the assassination of his political hero and mentor, Prime Minister Patrice Lumumba. To have a coordinated rebellion, Kabila formed guerrilla armies and recruited people to join him in taking up arms against the government at the center. Most of the people that Kabila used were child soldiers. He picked them young, radicalized them with military training, and armed them up and gave commands to them on where to attack and where to protect from attack. These child soldiers were known as Kadogos. This is a Swahili name for children who engage in war. Kabila was very comfortable with the Kadogos, apparently because they never had the educational training to interrogate or query any action they were commanded to take. The Kadogos were highly trusted by Kabila. They fought ferociously for Kabila and expectedly, Kabila had made promises to them should they assist him capture the seat of power. They fought on, invaded the capital Kinshasa, and eventually Kabila clinched the seat of power. The Kadogos may have jubilated that all the promises made to them would be fulfilled. Their leader and mentor having become the president of the country with enormous powers to change their fortunes. A number of these Kadogos became the president's direct bodyguards and close aides. They could walk into the president's office at any time without protocols. They enjoyed good working relationship with the president. But later on, most of the Kadogos began to complain that their expectations have not been met by Kabila. Kabila did his best to appease some, and for those that were difficult to appease, he got them arrested and dealt with. The president's action did not help the situation. If anything, it wasn't the situation. On the 16th day of January 2001, while Laurent Kabila was in his office in Kinshasa, one of his bodyguards, an 18-year-old Kadogo by name Rashidi Misele, also known as Rashidi Kasereka, walked into the office of the president and without any suspicion whatsoever, walked close to the president's seat and bent forward as if to whisper to the president's ears, and in that process, he brought out a pistol and shot Kabila at point-blank range. The bodyguard immediately ran out of the office and made attempts to escape, but he was gunned down by another bodyguard. Kabila was flown to neighboring Zimbabwe for medical treatment, but the shot was too close and the impact was too cruel and devastating. Kabila was in no time pronounced dead. This brought to an end the life and time of Laurent Kabila, a former rebel warlord who fought for many years to clinch the #1 office in his country, but who was brought down by a bullet fired by his own trusted bodyguard. His assassination brought an end to an era in the history of rebellion power struggle, war, and politics in the Congo. Before the assassination, Kabila was discussing in the office with an economic advisor by name Emile Mota about a forthcoming meeting with France, which he hoped would protect his presidency of the Congo. Emile was the only eyewitness who narrated thereafter how the assassin bent over to Kabila and how the president leaned towards him, thinking that the bodyguard wanted to speak to him, only for the assassin to pull out a revolver to shoot the president at point-blank range. Emile Mota was himself very lucky because in such situation, the assassin could have also killed him. But obviously, Kabila was the only target for the gunman. The then Health Minister Leonard Mumba was next door to the office of the president when Kabila was shot. And he arrived immediately after the assassination. On hearing the gunshot, other bodyguards rushed into the room, but at this time, the deed had already been done. Kabila's body was returned to Congo from Zimbabwe for burial. Kabila was buried in Kinshasa after a well-attended funeral service. Armed Zimbabwean soldiers stood around the People's Palace where the funeral took place, and nearby roads were blocked by armored cars. Hundreds of Angolan troops had also been invited to provide security at the funeral. The presidents of Angola and Zimbabwe were also present at the funeral. Shortly after his father's death, Joseph Kabila succeeded him. At this time, Joseph was barely 29 years old, but he was a high-ranking military officer and the number 2 in their military. After the assassination, a group of Kadogos were arrested and put on trial. 135 of them were arrested and tried in military court-martial. In the end, 26 of them, including Kabila's own cousin Corneledi Kapend, were sentenced to death. 45 were proclaimed innocent and exonerated. 64 of them were jailed. At the time of their conviction, the man at the helm of affairs in their country, whose responsibility it was to approve their execution, was Kabila's son, Joseph. Throughout his tenure, which lasted several years, Joseph did not sign for their execution, neither did he order for their release. 19 years later, in particular on 8 January 2021, President Felix Tshisekedi granted presidential pardon to the convicts. The story of the Congo is a story defined by struggle for power and struggle for the control of natural resources, and these struggles have been there for many years. Thanks for watching this episode of Back in History, and do remember to subscribe to the channel or follow the page for regular notification on every new video.